Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the global market for surgical procedures.
That's right. We've got this really detailed 2025 report packed with data.
Yeah, and our mission here really is to pull out the key insights for you. How big is this market? Where is it heading?
And crucially, how does it look different around the world? Which regions are the hotspots?
Exactly. We want to give you a solid but, quick understanding of this huge sector. It's constantly changing.
Definitely. We're not just going to read off numbers. The idea is to see the bigger picture, the forces driving things, the regional variations.
Okay, so this report we're using, it's pretty comprehensive market research, right? Lots of forecasts and analysis.
Precisely. It gives us market sizes, growth rates, that CAGR figure, and digs into the why behind it all.
Great. So let's kick things off. Globally, what are we looking at for 2025?
Okay, so the report estimates the global market size at USD 524.5 million for 2025.
Right.
Pretty substantial.
$3.5 billion.
Right.
Wow. And the projection. Where's it headed?
Well, get this. By 2033, it's forecast to hit USD 207.29 million.
Over $5 billion. That's quite a jump in, 8 years?
It really is. And that translates to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 5.00% projected for that period, 2025 to 2033.
Okay, a steady 5% growth. What's underpinning that? What's driving it?
Two big things, mainly. First, the increasing prevalence of chronic diseases globally. Think heart conditions, diabetes, cancers.
More chronic illness often means more need for surgery down the line.
Exactly. And second, the simple fact that the global population is aging. People are living longer, which unfortunately often means more health issues requiring surgical intervention.
That makes sense. Demographics are a powerful force here. So geographically speaking, where's the biggest piece of this pie right now in 2025?
Right now, North America holds the largest share, over 37% of the global market.
Over a third. What's the dollar figure on that?
That's estimated at USD 304.07 million for 2025.
Okay, the current leader. But what about its growth rate? Is it keeping pace?
Interestingly, no. While it's the largest market, its projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is lower, at 3.5%.
So volume leader, but slower growth.
Yeah.
And within North America, I assume the U.S. dominates.
Oh, absolutely. The U.S. market alone is pegged at USD 128.91 million in 2025. That's the lion's share.
And its growth.
Slightly lower than the regional average, actually, a CGR of 3.3%.
What's driving the U.S. market specifically? Is it technology?
Yeah, the report really points to the adoption of advanced tech. Things like robotic surgeries, and minimally invasive techniques are becoming much more common.
Right, changing how procedures are done. What about Canada and Mexico?
Canada comes in at USD 156.49 million for 2025. Their growth is a bit higher, actually 4.3% CAGR.
Why higher?
Seems strongly linked to their aging population profile. There's growing demand, particularly for cardiovascular and orthopedic procedures.
Okay. And Mexico?
Mexico's estimated at USD 118.67 million in 2025, with a projected CGR of 4.0%. Solid growth there, too.
All right, so North America leads, but with moderate growth. Who's number two?
That would be Europe, holding just over 29% of the global market share.
Okay, nearly 30%. What's their market size?
Estimated at USD 122.11 million in 2025.
And their growth projection?
A bit higher than North America's, actually. A CAGR of 4.1% expected through 2033.
Interesting. And within Europe, who are the major players? Germany, perhaps?
You guessed it. Germany leads the pack in Europe. About USD 202.38 million in 2025 and a 4.3% CAGR.
What makes Germany strong here?
Well, they have a very strong established healthcare system, and there's significant demand for advanced procedure.
Makes sense. Who else is significant in Europe? The UK.
Yes, the UK is next, around USD 171.71 million in 2025. Their CAGR is notably higher, though, at 4.9%.
Oh, why the faster growth in the UK?
The report suggests it's partly tied to growth in outpatient procedures, things moving out of the big hospitals.
That ASC trend again. Okay,
Yeah.
Who else? Russia, France.
Yeah, Russia's significant too, USD 158.43 million, though a slightly lower CAGR at 3.1%. Then you have France at USD 94.03 million, 3.3% CAGR.
Italy.
Italy's around USD 87.90 million with 3.5% growth. Spain is close behind at USD 83.81 million, 3.2% CAGR.
So quite a few major European economies with solid, if not spectacular, growth.
Exactly. And then you have several other countries mentioned: Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, even Luxembourg, each contributing, with KGRs mostly in the 3–4% range.
It paints a picture of a mature but still growing European market with some internal variations.
Precisely. Healthcare systems, adoption rates of tech, population needs, they all vary a bit country by country.
Okay, now, let's shift to the region that seems poised for, well, a real boom. Asia Pacific, or APAC.
Yes, APAC currently holds around 24% of the market share.
So third largest region right now.
That's right. Market size estimated at USD 845.88 million in 2025. But here's where the numbers really jump out.
Let me guess, the growth rate.
Exactly. The projected CAGR for APAC from 2025 to 2033 is a whopping 7.7%.
7.7%. That's significantly higher than North America or Europe.
By a long shot. It's the fastest growing region by a considerable margin.
Wow. What's fueling that incredible pace?
It's a mix of factors across the region. China is a huge part of it, of course.
Biggest market within APAC.
Yes, estimated at USD 355.27 million in 2025, and growing fast itself with a 7.2% CAGR.
And the drivers in China, similar to the global trends.
Yeah, high rates of chronic diseases are a big factor, plus rapid urbanization, which often comes with lifestyle changes and better access to health care, driving demand.
Okay, but it's not just China driving APAC's growth.
Not at all. We see really strong growth projections across the board. Japan, USD 116.73 million, 6.2% AGR. South Korea, USD 116.51 million, 6.8% CAGR.
In India, I hear a lot about growth there.
India stands out even within APAC. While its current market size is smaller, USD 84.59 million in 2025, its projected CAGR is the highest nationally, 9.6%.
Nearly 10%. What's the demand there?
A lot of demand for orthopedic procedures, but also a significant rise in cosmetic surgery demand.
Interesting mix. What about places like Australia or Singapore?
Also growing strongly. Australia, about USD 43.99 million, 7.0% CAGR. Singapore, though smaller at USD 16.92 million, has an 8.0% CAGR.
Taiwan, Southeast Asia.
Taiwan's projected at 7.5% CAGR, and the report lumps together Southeast Asia that's showing very rapid growth, 8.5% CAGR, on a base of about USD 55.83 million.
So it really is a broad-based expansion across the entire Asia-Pacific region. Incredible potential there.
Absolutely. It looks set to really reshape the global landscape over the next decade.
Okay, so we've covered the big three regions. What about the others, South America?
South America accounts for a smaller slice, just over 4% of the global market.
Market size.
Around USD 133.93 million in 2025. Their projected growth is solid, though a CAGR of 5.7%.
Higher than North America or Europe's growth rate. Who leads in South America?
Brazil is the largest market, USD 57.32 million in 2025, with a projected CAGR of 6.3%.
And the drivers in Brazil?
The report mentions growth in those ambulatory surgery centers, ASCs, making procedures more accessible, and also, like India, a growing demand for cosmetic surgery.
Okay. Any other notable South American countries?
Argentina shows strong growth potential, 6.6% CAGR, partly linked to its established plastic surgery sector. Colombia, Peru, Chile also have KGRs projected around 5.5% to 6%.
So smaller market overall, but definitely growing healthily.
Yeah.
What about the Middle East?
The Middle East is similarly in size to South America, actually, also around 4% market share.
Lower value.
Estimated at USD 140.98 million in 2025. And their growth is projected to be even stronger, a KGR of 6.3%.
Okay, so another region outpacing North America and Europe in growth percentage. Who are the key players?
Saudi Arabia is the largest market, about USD 49.62 million, 6.6% CAGR. The UAE is next, USD 29.04 million, with a 6.8% CAGR.
Any specific trends noted there?
Turkey is highlighted, USD 11.28 million, but a high 6.9% CAGR, partly because it's becoming a hub for medical tourism. Qatar is mentioned similarly.
Medical tourism. That's a factor we see popping up.
Definitely. And interestingly, for the rest of the Middle East category, the report notes that trauma care and infectious disease treatment are significant drivers of surgical demand, which points to different healthcare needs compared to, say, Western Europe.
Right. A reminder that the why behind surgery can vary significantly.
Yeah.
Okay, last region, Africa.
Africa currently represents the smallest share, around 2.2% of the global market.
What's the market size estimate?
About USD 77.54 million in 2025. The projected CAGR is 5.3%.
Still above that 5% global average growth. Well, who's the leader in Africa?
South Africa holds the largest share, USD 27.29 million in 2025, with a 6.2% CAGR.
Drivers in South Africa.
Similar themes: an aging population, and notably the expansion of private healthcare facilities providing more access.
And elsewhere in Africa? Nigeria, maybe?
Nigeria's mentioned, smaller market size, USD 6.20 million, but growing at 5.5% CAGR. The report links this partly to increasing foreign investment in its healthcare sector.
Suggests potential for future growth as infrastructure develops.
Exactly. The rest of Africa makes up the remainder, growing a bit slower at 4.5% CAGR.
Okay, that gives us a really good global map. Current size, projected growth, key countries. Let's pivot now to the types of procedures. Does the report single out any specific areas?
It does. It highlights neurosurgery procedures as the fastest growing segment by type.
Neurosurgery. Why is that taking off?
Well, a couple of things. We're getting better at diagnosing neurological illnesses, and there have been huge technological advancements in how we can surgically treat brain and spine conditions. More options, better outcomes.
That makes sense. We hear a lot about innovations there. But which procedure type holds the biggest share overall?
That remains cardiovascular procedures.
Heart-related surgeries.
Yeah.
Still dominant.
Yeah, the demand is consistently high. Again, driven by lifestyle factors contributing to heart disease, plus aging populations needing interventions like bypasses, stents, valve replacements, and so on.
So neurosurgery is the fastest riser, but cardiovascular is still the biggest slice of the pie volume-wise. All right, so we know what surgeries and where they're happening geographically. Now, where are they being performed? The report talks about end-user segments. What does that mean?
Yeah, end user segments basically refers to the type of facility. Where does the surgery actually take place?
Okay, and who's the biggest segment? Hospitals, I assume?
Yes, hospitals remain the dominant end user segment. They handle the bulk of surgeries, especially the complex inpatient procedures that require significant resources and post-operative care.
The traditional setting. But are we seeing shifts? You mentioned ambulatory surgery centers earlier.
Absolutely. Ambulatory surgery centers, or ASCs, are singled out as the rapidly expanding segment.
These are the outpatient centers, right?
Exactly. For procedures that don't require an overnight hospital stay, their growth is really being fueled by a couple of key advantages.
Like what?
Cost-effectiveness is a big one. They can often perform specific procedures at a lower cost than a large hospital. And convenience for the patient is another major factor.
Easier in, easier out for certain things.
Precisely. So we're seeing a definite trend towards shifting suitable procedures to these more specialized, efficient outpatient settings.
Makes sense from a systemic inpatient experience perspective. Okay, let's zoom out again. What are the main forces, the key drivers, pushing this whole market forward?
The report summarizes a few key ones. Number one is innovation. We touched on it: minimally invasive techniques, robotically assisted surgeries. These often mean better outcomes, faster recovery, which drives adoption.
Right, technology enabling better care. What else?
Improved accessibility. Just the sheer expansion of healthcare infrastructure, more hospitals, more surgical facilities, including those ASCs, means more people can get procedures they need.
Makes sense. Supply meeting demand.
And the third driver mentioned is that medical tourism trend we talked about. People crossing borders for surgeries, seeking either lower costs or specialized expertise, adds another layer of growth, particularly in certain regions.
Okay, drivers are clear. What about the flip side? What's holding the market back? Any major restraints?
Two main ones are highlighted. First, the high cost of surgical procedures. It's a significant barrier for many patients and healthcare systems globally.
Access is one thing, affordability is another.
Exactly. And the second restraint is a lack of qualified surgeons in some parts of the world. You can build facilities, but you need the skilled professionals to actually perform the surgeries. Shortages can definitely limit growth.
Skills gap. That's a challenge in many fields.
Yeah. Okay. And overarching trends shaping the future. We've mentioned some.
Yeah, the two big ones reiterated are the ongoing growth of ASCs that shift to outpatient settings and the increasing adoption of minimally invasive surgery. Those seem to be fundamental shifts in how surgery is delivered.
Got it. Finally, let's talk about the companies involved. Who are the key players shaping this competitive landscape?
Well, it's a complex landscape. You've got the providers themselves, the hospitals and ASCs competing for patients, but you also have the medical device manufacturers who are crucial.
The ones making the instruments, the robots, the implants. Right. Success hinges on things like cost effectiveness, delivering good patient outcomes, and having access to the latest surgical technologies. It's highly competitive.
Does the report name specific companies driving innovation?
It mentions a few key players like Medtronic, Johnson & Johnson, and Stryker as being particularly influential, especially with advancements like robotic systems.
Big names in medtech. Any recent examples of activity?
Yeah, it gives a couple of recent examples, like Abbott launching a new system for treating atrial fibrillation back in January 2024.
Okay, no product innovation.
And also Abbott acquiring Cardiovascular Systems, Inc., in April 2023. That shows the consolidation happening to companies buying others to strengthen their position in specific surgical areas.
So lots of activity, innovation, and strategic moves among the big players.
Definitely, it's a dynamic space.
All right, let's try to wrap this up. This deep dive into the 2025 report gives us a picture of a global surgical procedures market that's, well, it's already massive and it's growing steadily.
hmm Fueled by those big demographic shifts, aging populations, chronic diseases, but also by some really exciting technological progress.
Yeah, and while North America and Europe are the biggest markets today, all eyes are kind of on Asia Pacific for that really rapid future expansion, right?
Absolutely. That 7.7% projected CAGR is the big story there.
And we're seeing clear shifts in how and where surgery happens, more minimally invasive approaches, more procedures moving to those efficient ambulatory surgery centers.
That's right. Cost and the availability of skilled surgeons remain challenges, no doubt. But the momentum from innovation and increasing access seems pretty powerful.
It's fascinating how it all connects, isn't it?
hmm
The aging population drives demand, cost pressures push towards ASCs, and growth in places like APAC likely fuels even more innovation.
It's a constantly evolving ecosystem.
It really is.
Mm.
So thinking about everything we've discussed, the growth, the regional shifts, the move to ASCs, the tech advancements, what's the next big leap? What future innovations or maybe shifts in how healthcare is delivered could really transform this surgical landscape again in the next 10 years? And maybe more directly for you listening, how might those changes affect your access to care, the options available in your community down the road? Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of surgical procedures.